Welcome to another episode of Finance Friday with Adako. And on this particular episode, I want to talk to us about books, right? So if you know me or if you followed me for a while, you understand that books play a very major role in my life. Since I was a child, I have often had the opportunity, right, to be around books. And now that I am older, I tend to spend some reasonable amounts trying to acquire books. And so today I want to talk to us about three books that has had the most impact in me when it comes to money. First book I will talk about is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That book basically was my very first foray into the world of money, making money and managing money. And I think one of the central things that stood with me over the years when it comes to Rich Dad Poor Dad is the fact that we all shouldn't hustle or work too hard simply for liabilities. I think he was the first person that made me understand how that even the house that you live sometimes may not be an asset, it might be a liability. So the book Rich Dad Poor Dad talked about the mindset between the rich and the poor, right? So basically, typically at the end of the day, the difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they think towards money. While a poor person will always think about how much to spend, how they upgrade their life, what people will think about them, and think about immediate comfort. The rich person is thinking about how they can stretch the whatever monies they have now and how they can get the best returns from that money, irrespective of how small it supposedly is, right? So that's the whole essence. And then he talked about business owners, right? Employees, self-employed, people that own businesses, right? It differentiated them, right, with clear examples that made it very easy to understand. So if you haven't read the book, I think you should read it if you're starting on your journey to financial freedom. I read that book, I think, as 18 or during my early years as a university student. The second book I want to talk about is The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Right, I read that book straight out of the university, and the central theme in that book, right, was talking about saving your money and how to pay yourself first. He talked about so many things about how that you could have so many challenges and so many things that your money needs, but irrespective of what your circumstances were or what your reality was, it was compulsory to pay yourself first. And the benefits of compounding, right? So he made so many examples, and that's the central theme of that book, Richest Man in Babylon. Talk about how that divide your money into 10 pieces, into 10 parts, and consistently keeping one part of that money. The last book I want to talk about is Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I read that book, I think, last year, and it just made more sense why people acted the way they did when money was mentioned. He talked about how that people would always act people's actions towards money is typically based off of their psychology, right? Their interaction with money can always be traced to psychology. And if you really wanted to change your money, felt about money, you first needed to change your psychology, the way you think and feel about money. So if you're looking to improve your relationship with money, how that you react when money is concerned, what you do when money is mentioned, I would recommend you start by reading these three books: Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. These three books will definitely change the way you feel and how you act towards money. Remember that the first thing you need to do, right, when it comes to money, and if you want to be financially free, is that you need to change your mindset. Money is not always the enemy, and money is not always meant for consumption. Money could be your friend, money could be your servant, money could be a seed. It depends on what your relationship with money is. Cheers. See you in the next one.